Hello, everyone, and welcome to week 2 of our 7 DVC Resorts in 7 Weeks series, a special edition of our DVC show. I'm your host, Pete Werner, joined at the table by my good friends, Mr. Sean Falk.
Hi.
Ms. Jackie Gailey.
Hi.
Mr. Steve Porter.
Hello.
And back in the nook, Mr. Corey Fiasconaro.
Welcome home.
And this week we are going to be talking about Copper Creek Villas at Wilderness Lodge. And this is actually where I own direct. But before we get into our discussion, here's a brief look at Copper Creek Villas. All right, so this resort was first opened July of 2017. It's only 2 years old, so it's Right now, the newest, at the time that we're recording this, in August of 2019, this is the newest of the DVC resorts. Of course, Riviera is going to be opening later this year. Reflections Rehab will be opening when? 2020?
2020.
Is it 2020?
I think
Or 2021, whatever. But this is the newest one. This one just sold out. Price at opening was $176 per point. It has now jumped to $210 a point once it's sold out.
2022.
2022?
I apologize.
Okay.
Yes.
Current direct sale price, if you want to buy this direct from Disney, like I said, $210 a point. But the average resale price through DVCstore.com, who's an official sponsor of this show, $155 to $175 a point. And actually, I just saw one go up today.
Yeah.
It's $162 a point. It was for
200
points?
Yeah, I'm literally texting it out right now.
And we'll put these at the top of the show now. We did it at the bottom of the show.
Yeah.
Last week, one way, of course, just check out dvcstore.com for any of these resale listings. But if you want to be alerted via text whenever a new listing goes into their system, give them the details, Sean, for Copper Creek.
You can text the word Copper Creek, all one word, to 888-111, and you'll get a text message back asking you to opt in. You'll need to actually click on the link and choose your use year and say, if you don't have a preference, put no preference. That means you'll get all text messages that go anytime a Copper Creek comes in, period. You will get alerted about it. If you want a specific use year that works for you, I'll only let you know when one comes in that does that. But if you don't fill that out, I do not have a way to contact you, and you will not hear
anything.
You won't hear from me. So, because I don't know what to tell you if you just put Copper Creek, because I'm not just going to blow people's phones up. There are laws about that. That's a legal thing, not an I can't thing. So
right.
You can't just text people without them opting in. So
all right. So now this contracts at Copper Creek expire in 2068. 184 units at Copper Creek. Comprised of studios that are 345 square feet. These are on the small side for DVC. These are about the size of just a deluxe hotel room, because these were deluxe hotel rooms at Wilderness Lodge that were converted over into DVC units. So these, with the exception of the cabins, all of these units exist in the main Wilderness Lodge building. There are 42 studios, 21 bedrooms, 761 square feet. There are 56 dedicated 2-bedrooms at 1,105 square feet. There are 32 2-bedroom lock-offs, which is basically a 1-bedroom and a studio. So technically there are more than 42 studios, I think, but how they designate them.
The way they do the lock-offs,
the information out there about how these break down is like all over the place. But so some of these may be a little off. Don't email me. There are 4 3-bedroom grand villas, which are absolutely gorgeous. Okay, absolutely breathtaking. These grand villas, and we'll actually throw some pictures up here as I'm talking, so you can see how absolutely gorgeous these are.
Like, you could almost live there.
Yeah, no, well, those are 3,200 square feet.
Bigger than most people's houses.
Which is about the size of my house.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
With absolutely gorgeous views. Oh. And, of course, there are 26 cabins that are 1,737 square feet. Those are 2-bedroom cabins. I believe they sleep 8.
They do.
I wouldn't put 8 people in there. I wouldn't put 8 people in there, but if you have looked longingly at the bungalows at the Polynesian, I will tell you these are much nicer. What they don't have is that view of the Magic Kingdom from the cabins, but gorgeous.
gorgeous lake view. I mean, yeah.
So this resort came very, very, very close to getting a perfect rating for me. It came very close to getting a perfect rating for me. From the minute I pulled up, and I stayed at the resort this particular night. From the minute I pulled up to the guard shack, I was greeted by a really engaged, happy cast member. And this was my experience throughout the day. Every single cast member I came across was fantastic. I mean, not good, but I'm talking about old Disney. Fantastic. Check-in. Room wasn't ready, which is fine. You know, check-in's at 4 o'clock. I think I got there about noon. And the room wasn't ready, but check-in was flawless. We went down to Geyser Point, which is the
Bar and
Grill, which is really has become one of my favorite places to eat on property.
Yeah.
The atmosphere, the food, the service, all of it.
The cost per value, I think, is like super good.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And of course, now Wilderness Lodge is also home to Boulder Ridge, which is an older DVC property. It's one of the originals, and that's often a separate unit, and that's a different review that we did a few months ago. But every experience I had with a cast member was absolutely flawless. When our room was ready, we got the text message with the room number, went up. My magic band didn't work. Now, this was right after this experience had happened to me at the Grand Floridian on the hotel review. I'm like, okay, here we go. And at this point, they were not aware we were there. Went down to the check-in, said, magic band's not working. She scans it, and she said, you know what? I'm going to tell you what. I'm going to recode your magic band on our machine in back. I'm not going to do it here, and then I'm going to go up with you to make sure it works. Go back and look at my review of the Grand Floridian. Again, I'm going to put a link to it in down below in the notes of this video. If that had happened at the Grand Floridian, that review would have been entirely different.
Yeah. And that's sad.
It is sad.
It's sad because that's so easy for them. Just come with you.
And she came up with us. It worked. I thanked her. Got into my room.
Finished.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I will say that the only ding this resort gets from me is the size of the room. It was in excellent condition. Then again, it's only 2 years old. It should be, right? But I found it to be superior to the hotel room at Wilderness Lodge. The comfort of the bed. I had such a great night's sleep that night. It is not the best studio in DVC's arsenal. I think that might be reserved for the Polynesian, honestly. But the size of the room was the only complaint I had. Nothing else was wrong with this room. This room was immaculate. Every aspect of it was immaculate.
I like the design, like the cool poster on the wall. The dresser was like a cool design with the different colors. And Sean, you were saying that each dresser meant something different.
Correct. Oh, sorry, I was literally trying to message out Copper Creek listings. When I took the tour through Disney, my agent, I'm not sure what they're called.
Guide.
She directed me into one of the Copper Creek studio, or actually one of the one bedrooms that they were showcasing, and she was explaining that all of the chest of bureaus and cabinetry and everything were made from all recycled materials, which I mean is great. But but all the handles and everything, she was like, oh, this is from this like leather suitcase that was found from like inspired by this, and like here's something that was inspired by this tree that's from this particular area, and they used all these mismatched colors that really cohesively went together to make that wilderness foresty look, but were all like repurposed essentially from older materials that they had. So I was like, okay, that's a cool
Now I
thing.
I haven't stayed in the one bedroom at Wilderness Lodge, but I have been in one. And I gotta be honest, it's not, the one bedroom is not my favorite. I did not like the layout. They had they used to, they went from the kind of like that full kitchen, that full open kitchen that they had at Old Key West. At Boardwalk, they introduced the galley kitchen. Well, now they have the alley kitchen, which is basically your kitchen is all up against one wall. And I did not like it.
Yeah,
I
it's a
did
lot.
not like it. I just didn't like the layout. The studio, obviously, is not going to have a full kitchen. It is going to have your coffee maker, your Proctor Silex, Mr. Coffee type coffee maker, microwave, mini fridge, or mini cooler.
Yeah.
They make a point now of saying, Disney does, that they're not refrigerators, they're coolers. So
What's the meaning behind that?
I think because people will complain that they don't get as cold as a refrigerator will.
Oh,
But if you can imagine what the cost involved would be of the electricity required to bring those down to, let's say, 38, 40 degrees. So maybe these, maintain around 50 or 55 degrees. So it doesn't get as cold as your refrigerator at home is going to get necessarily. So instead of calling them refrigerators, they call them coolers. But everything worked. Everything was, like I said, it was absolutely, absolutely gorgeous.
And I think that there's a good. I like that it's a good in between. I'm sorry, I kicked Jackie.
We
I didn't
keep
mean to.
teasing.
I think that by comparison to later on, we'll have like Saratoga and Old Key West, and they have the big kitchens, like the full, like this is like vacation home kitchen, and I wouldn't need something like that personally. That's like we're having the group over, and I'm gonna like cut chicken up and like do all that kind of stuff. However, I think the kitchenette area in the studios is like nothing and absolutely something I would never use. So I kind of like that in between, like the alleyway. Not going to use a kitchen that much, but I think it's nice to store a few things and just heat something up quickly as an option. I wouldn't need anything bigger than that. So I think for some people, like, look into that. Do you want a lot of your space to necessarily be kitchen, or are you wanting more, it's more functional for some people?
Oh, we were also up on the 5th floor, and just had this absolutely gorgeous view. We'll include the picture here. This absolutely gorgeous view over the main pool and the lake, and it was breathtaking, absolutely breathtaking. If you are a Wilderness Lodge fan, if you like the lodge, you can't do better. I think these rooms are far superior to the regular rooms at Wilderness Lodge. And these regularly come up available direct through Disney for, to rent as hotel rooms. If you want to understand a little more about that, the law requires that Disney Vacation Club make a certain number of timeshare rooms available for cash. It is also the way that Disney Vacation Club, when somebody takes their points and uses it on a cruise or Adventures by Disney, DVC has to turn those points into cash in order to make money from it. And one of the ways they do that is by making these rooms available. So you can, if you are not a DVC member, you can get rooms here that way. Copper Creek Studios are among the most difficult to book at the 7-month mark if you are not an owner at Copper Creek, because of the relatively small number of them. These book up at 11 months. 1 and 2 bedrooms, cabins are available all the time, pretty much. But even those I'm starting to see selling out on certain dates. But the 3-bedroom Grand Villas, is only 4 of them. Very, very difficult to get those.
Well, I have a general question for y'all, like prefaced with this. So last week we talked about Grand Floridian Villas, and obviously that's its own separate building, even though there's still not that many of the rooms. But by comparison to when they're just doing repurposing rooms that already exist, like the Grand Californian does, or like with now Copper Creek, even compared to Boulder Ridge, which is its own separate thing. Like for those of you at home that are thinking, which one am I going to get? When it's an existing repurposed room, they're more difficult to get than when it's a full separate standing building, like, you know, how Old Key West or Saratoga is. But even with, you know, Beach Club can be difficult, but it is its own separate building wing. And I feel like a lot of times, sometimes that can be easier. Or like how Animal Kingdom Lodge is, it's easier to get Kidani Village than Jumbo
Well, I
House.
think they, you know, when they did the rooms at Animal Kingdom Lodge in Jumbo House, they realized that they were getting more money per square foot for those rooms as DVC rooms than they were as hotel rooms.
Right.
And so I think that's why it became, you know, with Wilderness, with Copper Creek, they said, okay, we're going to take an entire wing, as opposed to a few rooms in Jumbo House. We're going to take an entire wing here, and we're going to turn that all into.
Well, what do you guys think? Like, what do you guys prefer? Do you like having a separate building like with Grand Floridian Villas, or do you like how Copper Creek is just part of the resort and you're already in the building?
I really liked that it was in the main building.
Okay.
Like I said, I'm an owner at Copper Creek. Those my 150 direct points with DVC is at Copper Creek. But I didn't care about Copper Creek when I bought the points there. I actually did the tour of Copper Creek after I bought my first contract. I just wanted to buy my direct points to get the perks. But it was after my experience in Copper Creek that I went ahead and bought more points there, more direct points there. And that was also Fiasco's fault.
Yeah, and to also answer Sean's question, I like to be closer to the amenities.
Okay.
I don't like to be feeling like I'm off in La La Land, another part of the resort. I like to be close where everything is, where food, where shops, and everything. Another thing that I just want to mention is I love this resort. I think Steve could agree with me on this. It's our favorite resort. It is, like Pete just said, where I own to. And while I haven't stayed there yet, I am going to stay there soon. And I have seen the room as well. I've seen the 1-bedroom, and I've seen the studio, your studio. And honestly, I loved the 1-bedroom. It's kind of what I don't know if it's what pushed me over the edge, because I kind of wanted to get Riviera, but the resale restrictions kind of made me a little iffy. But then I went on the tour. Riviera was really nice, but Copper Creek 1-bedroom, I loved that. I really did.
Right. Now, Copper Creek is still on the old system where if you buy into Copper Creek, your points can be used. If you buy resale at Copper Creek, your points can be used at the other 14. Whereas Riviera, if you buy resale Riviera, it can only be used at Riviera. So you can still buy Copper Creek resale and use those points at the other 14 DVC properties. So my rating for this, like I said, it came very, very close to a perfect 10. Our dining show this week is at Whispering Canyon, and I'm going to let that review speak for itself. But like I said, the way I worked these out was the overall size and condition of the room makes up 50% of this rating. Friendliness of cast is 20%, amenities, common areas 20%, check-in experience 10%. So I gave the room a 9 because that it is smaller. That's the only thing I'm taking a point off for, is that it is smaller than the other DVC studios. And that some may find that unfair, but it's that's a really conservative number. That 9 is a conservative number, very, very close to being a 10. But for the purposes of doing a review, I gave it a 9. But check-in experience, friendliness of cast, and amenities in common areas all got perfect 10s, bringing this resort a 9.5.
Wow.
It is probably the highest rating I have given to a hotel in years. And actually, when I did this, was just not too long, when I stayed there, was not too long after I had done the review at the hotel side of the Grand Floridian. So it was like this...
Night and day.
It was like a tale of two cities. It was like a tale of two cities. But one of the things that I want to point out, we did our Whispering Canyon review at the end of the night, obviously. And as I mentioned, like the cast members, they all were phenomenal. It didn't matter where we went. The cast members were absolutely outstanding. And I'd been back over there a couple times just to eat or do other things. And I paid very careful attention after this review to see if was it a one-off, and it wasn't. I was experiencing that over and over and over again. And I asked our server at Whispering Canyon, why is the cast so good here? And she goes, you know what? We're treated like family, and we feel like family.
Aw.
And I was like, wow, that says a lot. That says a lot. So kudos to the GM at the Wilderness Lodge for running a first-rate operation. And I was so much happier about being an owner at Copper Creek after staying there and having this experience. I was happy after Boulder Ridge because I own a Boulder Ridge as well. But this was...
Well, and in what seems to be an era of like declining service at Disney, like it was almost like whoa, what's happening right now?
The old days. It was like Disney in the old days.
Yeah.
From the buying resale perspective of it, Copper Creek is not necessarily going to sell as quickly as Grand Floridian will, as we talked about last week. But they usually sell within a day or two, I would say. So you do have a little bit of time if you either opt in via text or if you're just casually looking and you see one. They do have a little bit of grace period there with them, and part of that might be because they're still available to purchase directly from Disney readily, and so some people who want to do that are able to. But
now that the direct price has gone to $210, the fact that you can pick up a resale contract for $160, that's significant. $50 a point, that's a significant savings.
And I think one of the bigger reasons that you should buy Copper Creek and like it should be on your radar is because at this point it's only 2 years old, so you still get 48 more years on that, and not anything to knock Beach Club or Boardwalk or anything that's some of the older ones, or even Boulder Ridge that's in the same complex. That ends in 2042. By comparison, you still would get a lot of time and use out of it, but we're talking 48 years here. I mean, that's a half a century that you're getting of this.
Exactly. But like I said, if you're a Wilderness Lodge fan, there's the conventional wisdom among DVC members: buy where you want to stay. I completely get why people would want to buy this. Like I said, I kind of did it backwards. I bought and then saw. But that will also tell you how much faith I had in the product going in. But then again, I've been at this for a while, and I wasn't new to. I may be a new DVC member, but I wasn't new to DVC. I certainly knew the product and the quality of the product. But you could do a lot worse. If you are a Wilderness Lodge person, you're crazy. If you go to Wilderness Lodge every year and you don't buy in at Copper Creek, you're nuts. You're nuts. And if you're just questioning that, either rent points, you can rent points from dvcstore.com, or just instead of getting your hotel room, get one of the studios next time and try it out. Like I said, they're readily available. They usually, like when I'm looking for rooms on site in terms of, the regular cash side of things, not the points. Copper Creek comes up almost all the time. So they're readily available. And of course, Dreams Unlimited Travel can help you with that while I'm sitting here pushing stuff. But so that's going to do it for our discussion of Copper Creek for this week's DVC 7 and 7. Hope you enjoyed it. Next week, we will talk to you about Beach Club Villas. So that's that. We'll see you next week.